My beloved child, before you scroll away, hear this carefully, because there is a question you have carried quietly for longer than most people know. You have asked me why I allowed it to happen. Why did that opportunity disappear when you were finally ready? Why did that conversation happen? Why did someone walk away? Why did the plan you prayed over so many times suddenly change? Why did I allow a season to unfold that you never would have chosen for yourself? You have tried to make sense of it, but every answer seemed incomplete. And perhaps the most painful part was not what happened itself, but the silence that followed it. You looked toward heaven and wondered, Jesus, if you were with me, why didn't you stop this? My beloved child, don't skip this message, because there is a truth hidden inside that question that can change the way you remember your entire past. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and it may be connected to a moment you have already decided was simply a painful chapter. You thought that moment interrupted your story. You thought it delayed you. You thought it took something away from you that you would never get back. But what if you have been looking at the event from the wrong side? What if you have been standing inside the chapter while I have been looking at the entire book? You see one door closing. I see where that road would have taken you. You see the person who left. I see the version of yourself you would have become if you had remained dependent on their presence. You see the opportunity you missed. I see what that opportunity would have cost you later. You see the unanswered prayer. I see the answer that could not arrive until your heart was ready to carry it. This is why I need you to listen differently today. I am not asking you to pretend that what happened did not hurt. I am not asking you to call every disappointment a blessing before your heart has processed it. I am asking you to consider something much deeper. Sometimes the meaning of an event cannot be understood while you are standing in the middle of it. Sometimes the explanation comes later. Sometimes years later. And sometimes one day you will look back and whisper, now I understand why. But before that day arrives, you must learn to trust me without having every detail explained. Don't skip, because the next part may touch the exact place where you have been asking for an answer. There is something I want you to remember about the season that changed everything. The fact that I allowed something to happen does not mean I abandoned you inside it. You may have interpreted my silence as distance, but I was present in places you could not recognize me. I was present in the conversation you thought would break you but instead revealed the truth you needed to know. I was present when an opportunity disappeared and forced you to discover abilities you had never developed before. I was present when your carefully arranged plans became uncertain and you finally began asking deeper questions about who you were and where you were going. I was present when you had to wait, because waiting exposed what rushing had hidden. My beloved child, you have been measuring my presence by how comfortable your circumstances feel. But my presence has never depended on your circumstances being comfortable. Think about a seed placed beneath the soil. From the surface, it looks forgotten. There is no applause. No visible progress. No evidence that anything important is happening. Yet underneath the surface, roots are forming. The seed is changing before anyone can see the evidence. If the seed could speak during that season, it might say, "Why am I buried?" But the soil is not always a grave for what you hoped would grow. Sometimes it is the environment where growth begins. That is what I want you to understand about your hidden season. You have called it being stuck. I may have called it preparation. You called it being overlooked. I may have been developing something in you that could not grow under constant attention. You called it a delay. I may have been protecting the timing. You called it rejection. I may have been redirecting you. And here is the revelation I want you to hold on to. The event you keep asking me to explain may not have been designed to give you an immediate answer. It may have been designed to produce a new version of you. Don't skip, because this is where the story turns. There are things you would never have learned about yourself if everything had gone according to plan. You discovered your strength because you had to stand. You discovered your patience because you had to wait. You discovered discernment because appearances were no longer enough. You discovered the value of peace because you experienced what life felt like without it. You discovered that your identity could survive without the approval you once depended on. And perhaps most importantly, you discovered that you could come to me with questions and still remain close to me without having every answer. That is not a small lesson, my child. That is a foundation. There will come a moment when you realize that the thing you once called an interruption became an instruction. The setback became a signal. The closed chapter became a compass. And the moment you thought had pushed you backward was quietly moving you toward a future you could not yet see. Stay till the end, because there is another layer to this that you cannot afford to miss. I want you to stop asking only, why did you allow it, and begin asking, what did you want to build in me through it? That question can open a completely different door. Now listen closely, because I am going to tell you something about the part of your story you keep replaying in your mind. You have been trying to rewrite the past because you believe that if one detail had changed, everything would have been better. You imagine the conversation you wish had gone differently. You imagine the decision you wish you had made. You imagine the door that you wish had stayed open. You imagine what your life would look like if that one moment had never happened. But my child, you are exhausting your present by trying to negotiate with a past that no longer needs your permission to exist. You cannot go backward and become the person you were before that moment. And perhaps you were never supposed to. Something changed in you. Your priorities changed. Your understanding changed. Your ability to recognize what truly matters changed. You became more aware of the difference between what looks good and what is good for you. You learned that not every opportunity is an assignment, not every connection is permanent, and not every open door deserves to be entered. That wisdom came with a price, but it is still wisdom. Don't skip, because I want you to see the hidden gift inside this realization. There are moments when I do not remove the difficulty immediately because the lesson being formed inside you is more valuable than the immediate relief you are requesting. Imagine someone asking me for a map while refusing to learn how to recognize the road. Imagine someone asking for a destination while never developing the character required to live there. My child, sometimes I am preparing you for an answer before I give you the answer. Sometimes I am strengthening your discernment before I place a major decision in front of you. Sometimes I am teaching you how to recognize peace before I lead you into a new season filled with choices. You wanted the next chapter. I was preparing the person who would live it. And that is why you cannot judge the process by the speed of the outcome. You may be closer than you realize, but you are looking for the evidence in the wrong place. You are waiting for something outside you to change, while something inside you is already changing. You are waiting for the announcement, but I am preparing the capacity. You are waiting for the new beginning, but I am finishing the old mindset. You are waiting for restoration, but I am teaching you not to rebuild the same life that once exhausted you. Something huge is waiting for you, but you must not drag yesterday's expectations into tomorrow's assignment. There is a reason certain things no longer feel the way they once did. My beloved child, one day you may stand in a completely different season of your life and suddenly understand the timing of something you are confused about today. You may meet an opportunity that makes you grateful the previous one ended. You may enter a relationship where peace replaces uncertainty. You may discover a purpose that would never have become clear if your original plan had worked. You may reach a place where you finally understand why you had to become stronger before receiving what you once begged for. And when that moment comes, you will realize something extraordinary. I was not wasting your time. I was shaping your perspective. I was not ignoring your prayers. I was teaching you how to recognize the answer. I was not standing far away while you walked through uncertainty. I was beside you, even when your emotions were too loud for you to recognize my presence. So do not scroll past this moment in your life simply because it does not look like the life you imagined. Stay with me through the chapter you do not understand. Stay when the answer is delayed. Stay when the path looks unfamiliar. Stay when you have more questions than explanations. Because there are seasons that make sense only after you have walked through them. And my child, you are not required to know everything today. You are only required to trust the next step. Release the need to understand every reason before you move forward. You can honor what happened without living inside it. You can grieve what changed without believing your best days are gone. You can remember the past without allowing it to become your identity. And you can admit that something hurt without deciding that it ruined you. Don't skip, because what happened is not the final authority over what happens next. Your past may explain some of your scars, but it does not have the right to write the final chapter. I still have pages you have never seen. I still have moments you have never imagined. I still have opportunities you have not recognized. And I still have work to do in places you thought were finished. So tonight, put down the question that has been exhausting you, why did you let this happen to me, and replace it with a stronger question, Jesus, what are you showing me now? That question changes everything. Because once you stop demanding that the past explain itself, you become free to notice what the present is teaching you. And when you notice what I am building inside you, you will begin to understand that some chapters were never meant to be permanent. They were meant to prepare you. They were meant to awaken something. They were meant to teach you how to walk differently, choose differently, pray differently, and trust differently. The story is not over because one part did not go according to your plan. In fact, my child, you may be standing closer to a turning point than you realize. The very thing you have been asking me to explain may become the very thing that makes the next chapter make sense. So stay with this message, because we are not finished uncovering what that season was preparing you for. The answer may be deeper than you expected, and the next revelation begins when you stop looking at what happened as the end, and start seeing it as the beginning of something you could not yet recognize.